once it processed what she said, you could see that. See, look at that. That's when it registered. That's when it registered what she said. Okay, so this is something small that was lesser known. I can imagine why it got glossed over because, you know, there's a lot of other stuff that's going on right now that's a bit more important. So this is going to be a little more lighthearted, but I have to point this out, not so much over what Representative Miller said, but more so the reaction I find more important. Also, her press secretary's response to what she said, because it was pretty dishonest. I'm surprised the left didn't emphasize this more, just because, you know, it makes Trump look bad, and Trump knows, because you can see his facial expression change halfway through. Like, you can see him go like, oh God, over what she said. So, I'm going to show you real quick what she said, and I'm going to show you the problem and why what she said matters. Because it kind of exposes a lot of how Republicans think right now. And they might be blind to it, to their own ignorance. So I'm not saying this to bash Republicans. I'm saying this because some of y'all might not know what you actually are doing here.
President Trump, on behalf of all the MAGA patriots in America, I want to thank you for the historic victory for life in the Supreme Court yesterday. Our victories for life and the Second Amendment would never have been possible if the Never Trump rhinos had gotten their way. I'm running against a rhino named Rodney Davis.
Now, just to point out already, I don't know why they're cheering for victories on gun control. I mean, at a Trump rally when Trump put in more federal gun control than when he entered office. Just pointing that out. A lot of them don't even know that. But that's not where the controversy comes from. So where the controversy comes from, obviously, was for the overturning of Roe being a victory for white lives, which I found very interesting that she felt the need to say that. Now, let me real quick go to what her press secretary said in response to this, and then talk about the reaction and why this is not a good look for Republicans. And why you're showing a lot of hypocrisy right here. Okay? And I know a lot of you, if you're a mainstream Republican, you might not see the hypocrisy in what happened here. So I'm going to try and explain it to you. Okay, so if we look to what her campaign manager immediately said in response to this, she said that she meant to say it's historic victory for the right to life by the Supreme Court. Now, if she misspoke, why didn't she correct herself, number one? And number two, wouldn't have she said something closer for the white to life or something like that? You know, something sounded more like Biden-ish. Because it didn't sound like she misspoke. It sounds like that's what she meant to say. And usually, the first response tends to be the correct one. That tends to be the honest one. Now, I know what you're thinking if you're probably a mainstream Republican. What is wrong with saying this is a victory for white life? Because, you know, more white children will be born. Okay, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with that statement. The issue is the response of, you know, the Republicans cheering is hypocritical. Here's why it's hypocritical, okay? Because all lives matter. You use that very inconsistently. You see what I'm saying? Because when it came to Jewish lives matter, you cheered. When it came to victory for white life, you cheered. When it came to stop Asian hate, you cheered. Then when it came to anyone saying Black Lives Matter, you all stopped, freaked out, and said, wait. All lives matter. What? Where was that right here? Why didn't you say this is a victory for all lives? Which it is. Why didn't you say that? Do you see what I mean by this is being hypocritical? Because when she phrases it as white lives, y'all cheer. If it's flipped, y'all go, oh, hang on a minute. This is a victory for all life. I'm just saying, it's not a good look because you know what? People see this. They see the responses to this thing, and it comes off as extremely off-putting and hypocritical. This is why I said, when people say the term all lives matter is racist, the term by itself is not racist. The way it's been applied has been kind of racist because it's not been applied universally. It's only being applied to one group. This is why when I went to Trump rallies, I was trying to explain this to some Trump people, that I said, it comes off as dismissive because you don't use it. You don't use it consistently. And they didn't get it. They were like, no, this is more inclusive. It's more inclusive. Okay, then why are you not... At the time, I was making the point that why weren't you saying stop all hate in response to stop Asian hate? Because hate crimes were universally increasing. It wasn't just Asian people. It was universally increasing. And you could see, even Trump knew this was a bad look. Right? He may be big and goofy on some things, but he's smart on other things. And you could see how uncomfortable he was getting. You could see his face. Once it processed what she said, you could see that. See, look at that. That's when it registered. That's when it registered what she said. I'm just saying, you have trouble with certain demographics getting votes. It's things like this. Right? It's things like this. We notice things like this. Because these little gaffes and inconsistencies, or whatever you want to call them, always are going in one direction against a certain group of people. And this is why y'all struggle with certain groups getting their votes. Because I know, like I said, maybe if you're a white mainstream Republican, this might go over your head. This is why I'm trying to explain it. It might go over your head. It's a group that doesn't affect you, right? Or it's something that doesn't affect you. So it could easily go over your head. But I'm trying to explain it. So this is what I mean by saying you're using these things inconsistently, and you're cheering and booing inconsistently. And other people, the people who it affects, they notice this, and it's very, very off-putting. And I think you should be mad at Representative Miller because she is making Trump look bad right now. If you like Trump, and I do like Trump, this is a really bad look coming from her, right? I don't like everything Trump does. I'm very polarized with Trump. He either does things I really like or I really hate. But I do like the guy. So I think the Republicans should be mad at Miller for making him look bad. And if the Republican just came out and said, hang on, this is a victory for all life, in response to her, if your mainstream Republican, commentators did that, at least that would make you look, you would come off as more consistent and less off-putting. But no, because when your side does stuff like this, it gets ignored. And you don't understand, that hurts you. That only makes you look bad. So sure, maybe she did misspoke. Maybe she did. But the audience didn't mischeer. They heard what she said. And they still cheered. So all I'm saying is try to have a little tact and just think about what you're doing before you actually do it. Maybe re-examine where some of these biases may lie on the right and try and fix that. And maybe you'll, because I know you can do it. You did it with the alphabet, so you can do it. You can cater your messaging and move things around and make things work because you chucked out your traditional values for the alphabet. I think if you want to go back to it because you saw what a mistake that was, and you want to target more traditional groups of people, you might want to re-examine your messaging because you're kind of sitting on a gold mine of votes, but you do things like this. Why you gotta do things like that? Stop it. Get some help.